It's Movie Time is produced and hosted by John DeSando. Listen to... Can I just start all these again?
Do it again.
All right. Listen to broadcast shows on Fridays at 4:01 and 8:01 p.m. Okay. It's Movie Time is produced and hosted by John DeSando. Listen to broadcast shows Fridays at 4:01 and 8:01 p.m. Read reviews and listen to shows online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Mark Sutherland.
And this is It's Movie Time. Mark, welcome back.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
I mean, we brought you and our beloved Abby 3 years ago. We were talking on NPR.
This show is bookends to my film because you started very early on having me on, and now here we are at almost the end of the process.
So Abby's List is going to be opening up on May, here in Columbus, Ohio.
May 2nd.
May 2nd.
Yeah.
We're giving kind of to-do about that. It's already won about 5, as far as I can remember, first places in film festivals.
Yeah, and we won 4 of our 5 U.S. festivals,
Yes.
which was great. Like one that took home top awards. Who would have thunk it, huh?
And the one in Melbourne.
Yeah, and in Melbourne, Australia, at the Melbourne Doc Film Festival, which is one of the biggest doc film festivals in the world, they named us the charity film of the whole festival.
Well, Mark, only recently I reviewed a film called Warfare, which is a docudrama, right? But this is not a docudrama. This is actually what you call a documentary, right? And when we get into our Back Talk podcast, we'll talk a little bit more about dog films.
Yeah, we're trying to invent a genre.
I know.
I mean, it basically started out as a joke, but I think there's actually something to it with all the dog films now.
So you and Abby, she's an aging whippet.
Yeah, when we started our journey, she was 14.
Okay. And so you decided to take a trip with her? Bucket list stuff?
Yeah, I wanted to do her bucket list. I'm using air quotes there because there is some question as to whether or not we're actually doing my list or Abby's. But I think it's a little bit of both. But we decided to set out on a journey and ultimately crossing the country, starting with her paws in the Pacific Ocean and ending with her paws in the Atlantic Ocean, and doing some fun things along the way. And the plan was to do 3 weeks because that's all we could afford. And we hit the road, and she started aging in reverse, and our little videos started going crazy viral all across the world. And we said, you know what? Let's keep doing this. And especially because of her health, because she was getting better. And I only figured she'd live another 3 months or so.
Sure,
I just didn't figure she had much gas left in the tank. And ultimately, the 3 weeks on the road became 3 years. She lived almost 3 years longer.
Well, there's no question I'm a big fan of it. I see it as much as a poetic depiction of your relationship with Abby. And I also remember some vivid images. The one that most vivid comes to mind is when she pees on a sequoia. What nerve!
Well, but if you're a dog, like, what could be better for your bucket list than peeing on some of the tallest trees in the world?
No.
It was majestic, John, and you're trying to cheapen it.
Not at all. But you did bring up something that you and I have struggled with. We've almost been like wrestlers in the ring. I'm telling you, Mark, this documentary, as brilliant as it is not about a dog. It is about you. And I know that you object to that because you're a guy who doesn't like to feature himself.
I wouldn't have cast myself in my own film if I didn't have to tell the story.
But I'll tell you, one of the real virtues of this is your voiceover. And I think that you have a mic-ready voice. You were originally with Disney Radio. I mean, there's no question your voice is ready for radio. But it works on this one.
Well, I think that's one of the things that, you know, if someone's making a film, especially a documentary where you're doing most of it yourself, you got to look at what tools you have in the toolbox. And luckily, since I'd done radio forever, I knew that I could do voiceover. Now, the strange thing was I had to find my voice for film. Like the first, initially when I was writing it and listening back to early segments and seeing if they played, I had a hard time finding, it sounded a little too radio-y.
Okay.
And a good friend who became a consulting producer on the film said, you know, it's not there yet. And Jennifer is her name, and she, that made a difference. But it was interesting that even though I'd done voiceover and radio for years, I had to find my voice for film.
it reminds me how true that is, cliche as it is. I remember, even though I was an English major, PhD, and so on, I just wasn't writing what I liked. Until finally I decided, when I started writing about movies, that's where I found my voice.
Yeah.
But before that, it's absolutely as you're describing. It's not quite right. It's good, it's smart,
Yeah.
but it's not.
It's just a little off, and sometimes it takes outside sources and friends that you know will tell you the truth too, to weigh in on that as well, because there were certain things that I could see, but some things that I couldn't because I was just too close to it. And for me too, the voice was not only in a grander sense. I had to find my voice in my vision within the film, but also I had to find my physical voice. I had to find the tone of the voiceover that would actually work and sound more natural, which was less radio-y.
I know. So Mark, as at least the 3 years since I've seen you, and you've been working on this, you are singleton working on it. That is, there's nobody else. If you've ever sat and had given respect to a movie, you'll sit at the end and watch the credits. And they are almost endless with the number of people who are involved.
There are a ton of, and it all emanates out of me, but so many people did little big things for the film.
Yeah, but basically we're now AMC is showing your film, which is a very big deal. I mean, yes, you've won festivals, but actually getting into a commercial theater.
Yeah, and they're doing a limited national release too, which was just more than we could have hoped for.
And I know that you have worked to get this to that point. So I guess that's to everybody who's listening. This is a man who has made a movie that I believe is a work of art. Well, I don't say I believe it is a work of art. And when you see it, you'll understand what I mean.
And it's imperfect, but
that's charm,
but it has a soul.
Oh.
And I think I remember watching the movie once years ago.
Oh, yeah.
About the Irish entertainer. It's
Yeah,
only $150,000 film, but they won the Academy Award for Best Song, and it was a good little picture, and I was so taken by that, and I think it succeeded because it had a soul. It was imperfect visually, and the rest of it was good. It was good enough, but I hope Abby's List does that too.
Well, if listeners want to extend their experience here, they can go to WCBE.org, the podcast experience, and Backtalk.
I would do that,
okay,
if it were me personally.
They're going to, and if there are any people out there who are as nerdy as we are and enjoy and love movies as much, they might want to hear how you depict the process of actually getting something like this little dog movie into AMC theaters. I would love to know, and I'm sure they will love to know, the process that you went through. And it may be very helpful, and it may, given the technology that's available to everybody these days, it may encourage a filmmaker.
Do you want to share that now, or you want me to share
that?
that?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's move into the podcast with that. Let's wait on that. I'm just interested in what have you learned in at least the 3 years that I've known you. What have you learned about this process, and why would anybody want to watch this?
First of all, it's not your typical documentary. We really tried to shoot it and write it. I say we, but it was me. I wanted it to feel like an unscripted feature film. You know, documentaries start and stop, and there are way too many people sitting down and talking. And I wanted to keep something visual on the screen the whole time, and I filled it with great music. We have 13 original tracks. So I did everything that we could to make it feel like a bigger film. I shot an awful lot of it outside because I couldn't, on the kind of money, the budget was basically $150,000. And on that budget, I couldn't even afford having a crew, let alone making it visually the way I wanted to if it was shot indoors. But if you shoot it outside, then you can have these beautiful shots, and they don't cost you a darn thing.
Yeah,
you know?
right. Yeah.
So there were a lot of things that I did like that.
And so somebody coming in who was making a decision about seeing a film would see this because they would feel comfortable with the way you presented it.
Yeah, and it doesn't. You can watch a documentary without it feeling like a documentary. It'll also. It's a nice escape film. Anybody who's had a dog is going to It's going to bring up some emotions, most of them very, very positive. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Abby passed away toward the end of the film, and I had to make some big decisions whether or not to include that in the film or not. And initial cuts didn't have it in there. I just sort of alluded to it, but it just didn't work. And here it was, the most powerful experience of the whole adventure. What was her, you know, living her life, but then towards the end, and to just ignore that seemed crazy. So that's part of it. But the film's about living. It's like ultimately one of the through lines that we visit at the end is get off the couch and live life now.
And I'll tell you, it doesn't make any difference if it's a Whippet or a Great Dane or a Poodle or your best friend or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever, whoever the living being is, that you go along on a trip like this. I think it's a paradigm for enjoying yourself in taking a trek across the country, hitting the big spots, and the way you treat Abby and she treats you is that you're both supremely comfortable with each other. There's nothing pushed. You just let her do what she wants to,
and I think that's one of the reasons the film works too, because it's organic, it doesn't feel contrived. But also I tried to work some humor in there. Since I was in radio forever, I'll let you, here's a little inside baseball. I was doing radio bits. I just brought a camera along. So like, okay, you got a dog. What are you gonna do with a dog's bucket list? Well, we had her sail a yacht, like literally get behind the wheel of a yacht. And she loved it.
Oh, yeah.
That was what surprised me, and that's what spurred on the whole thing, because we brought a camera along and put a camera in front of her, a GoPro right in front of her. And I didn't even realize how much she was enjoying it at the time, but when I got home and looked at the video, I went, oh my God, she's in heaven. And then we went, okay, what else would a dog like to do? Well, let's drive to Sequoia National Forest and see if she wants to pee on the world's tallest tree. And then